We sit in a space where public procurement meets social housing and construction, and there's a lot going on in that space. There's so much guidance, information, change, and actually South East Consortium has been there to work through that over the last decade and further to make sure that customers are well informed in what they need to do.
Okay, so my initial memory of SEC probably goes back to before you were born, as in the organisation. We were appointed by the ODPM, the Office of Deputy Prime Minister, with Davis Langdon as the National Change Agent. And part of the National Change Agent's brief was to facilitate collaborative procurement amongst housing associations. So the South East Consortium, along with a number of other consortiums across the UK, were convened, set up and set free to go and collaboratively procure those key elements of the supply chain.
The National Change Agent was formed with, I think it was Davis Langdon with the consultants at the time, now ACON, and they were being advised by David Misia at Trails and Hamlets, and David approached us and said, listen, we think you, Savills, me and my team would be one of the ideal consultants to help prepare the business plans for these newly formed consortia. So the consortium had already had some initial discussions, they had some ideas about what the scope of work was going to be. So it was our role to kind of corral them, if you like, into one cohesive program, but we needed to create a logo. And so amongst the team, they came up with the logo that is pretty much the same as you've got now. I know you've sort of had various iterations and modernizations of it, but that sort of curve was the one that was agreed on marketing. You have your massive conference here at West Ham, you walk past that, and I know it's a bit sad, but I think, yes, that was, I played a part in setting that up. And no one knew at that time how successful South East Consortium would become.
So I was chair from 2010 to 2019. And I think, do you know what? I'm always massively, and I've said this to you countless times, it does feel like, it's a cliche, but it does feel like your baby, and I'm sure if you spoke to the likes of Mary Bennell, and with Misia and Shane and all of those that have been involved in those very, very early days, there is such an affection for the organisation. I don't know if we ever knew that it would go on for 20 years. I don't think we even actually thought that. It was just like, oh, we're just doing this now and roll with it. So, but I'd see when I go to the conference or go to the events and to see what it has become, and knowing all of those people that have contributed to that process. And, there's people there like Tracy, who was opening all of those lever arch files with me, who's still there today, and both personally and professionally has contributed so much to the organisation. And, to be able to have somebody as an example, it's a good sign of how successful the organisation has been.
So I've been at the South East Consortium for 14 years, and probably the first memory that I have is probably the first major framework procurement that we were involved in. That was kind of back in 14 years ago, and that was for our internal and external works framework, probably the very first framework that I was involved in. The South East Consortium has changed so much over these past 14 years. When I first started, there was 3 or 4 members of the team, and we were a membership-based organisation, and that's how we were funded. I think seeing that South East Consortium is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, I think is a massive achievement. Seeing how far we've come and how far we've changed in the past 14 years that I've been here, it's a completely different organisation.
What I'm proud of is SEC has always been focused on its members. From the very beginning, that was the culture. It was how, as a membership organisation, can we best serve those? And it has gone through massive change over the last 20 years. And to see what it's become, the sort of powerful force it's become, largely in the region, but spreading more and more, but in not just procurement, but also good practice. I was always a big advocate for how SEC could lead by example.
I think it does, and I know it does sound really cliche, but it does feel like your child. The thing for me personally is I've made so many different relationships and have stayed in and around the consortium. So going to the conferences has always been really good, and it's so, I don't know what the word is, whether kind of heartwarming, if that's the right word, to see how it's progressed. I remember the very first conference that was in the Brands Hatch Hotel. I don't know if you could call it a conference, but the principles were there, that it was about networking. We had speakers, we had some exhibitors. So I think that was the kind of starting bit for what it then became.
The number of frameworks out there is huge now. It's ever growing, and I think South East Consortium's USP is around how it does its work. We have grown the organisation based on doing what we do in a customer-friendly way. I think actually culture's everything in what you do, and making sure that you bring people together, get to know each other, have fun, and deliver results is just so important.
Well, the board sees the future of South East Consortium as being a well-run, well-governed, financially sound organisation. The idea behind that is that we will work very closely with government and other organisations to take a lead in procurement going forward. The idea behind that is that we'll be at the cutting edge of what's actually going on, and we can help our members, both current and hopefully new members coming forward.
And actually by using procurement, using that core service that's at the heart of what we do, and harnessing that for social impact, and being able to identify the gaps in customers and suppliers' knowledge and skills to deliver better work and better services for our customers, and let's be honest, their customers. You know, our customers manage communities and residents and homes, and actually we have a big impact on being able to improve the quality of those homes that our customers are managing, and I think that's got to be the future. Let's keep tackling the challenges, that keep coming up with innovative ways to support those members, support the supply chain, and support a better agenda for the whole sector.
We should be really proud of South East Consortium. It's an absolute gem of an organisation. Its success is thanks to its customers, thanks to its colleagues, thanks to its board members, suppliers. Everybody has played a part in growing this business and putting it on the map.